All right, the art of duplication. That's what we're going to talk about today. Danielle is right. I joined the company 20 years ago. I'll give you the quick story on that. I was not a Floridian at that time. I'm a Floridian today. I moved down to Florida probably 18 or so years ago, and actually was close to the original office in Stewart, which I don't think was the first, but it was one of the most, the newer ones at that time. And so I was very close to the office. I went in to meet. Lester at that time was there. A lot of the staff was there. They'd been there the entire time. But Dennis and Carol Berardi were greeting me and introducing me to the company and taking me around. And I sat Dennis down in the office, and I said, listen, I have one question for you, which is a question I think many of you probably have if you've just joined the company or if you're looking to, create a future here. I said, can you give me a guarantee that this company will be here 5 years from today? Because I don't want to put my heart and soul into a company that isn't going to be here for me tomorrow. And you know what he said to me? And reason I'm telling you this is because he said a lot of things to me over the years. And it's part of the reason why I'm doing this presentation. He said, John, he looked right across the table from me. He said, all I can tell you is I put everything I have into this business, and I don't want this business to go anywhere just like you don't want it to go anywhere. And I thought, well, that's a genuine, honest answer. And so I said, okay, I can go with that. And so we have built quite a business over the amount of 20 years now. And one of the other things I remember being with Dennis and Carol, they lived nearby, so I had that advantage of being around them and being mentored by them and them teaching me a few things and helping me out with a few things. And so I would be in the car with them driving, and we'd be talking about the business, and they'd say, John, what kind of ideas do you have? And I'd say, well, I have this idea, and I have that idea. And Carol Berardi, she would be in the car with us, and she'd say, no, that's not a good idea. And I'd say, well, why not? She goes, well, how are you going to duplicate that? And I said, well, that's true. Well, what am I supposed to do? And everything I would say to her over and over, we'd have these conversations, and she'd say, that's not duplicatable. That's not duplicatable. And so anyway, we're going to talk about duplication today. We're a network marketing company. Did you realize that? I think everybody knows that. If you're not a firm believer in network marketing, let me give you one piece of advice. I would encourage you to go on, where's Zane? Is he here? Go on YouTube, the second largest search engine, of course, owned by Google, and go on there and look up a presentation called Brilliant Compensation. I believe that has been in the executive kits for a long time, or the starter kits. I don't know if they're still there. But anyway, Brilliant Compensation by Tim Sales, and he will make you a believer in this business model. That's one of the things also that impressed me with the Berardis, the founders, by the way, of the company, if I didn't say that. They were very staunch believers in that business model. And they had done well for themselves in other businesses, but learned that network marketing creates a whole new dynamic of business where you're having this thing called leveraged income and exponential growth. Leveraged income means that you're able to build a team and leverage their efforts to help pay you every single month. And the exponential growth comes from them building their dreams just like you build your dreams. And you're not employees of each other, but you're working with one another. And you may have more of a desire to build this business than me. And things change over the course of time. But that can grow exponentially under you, and your check can actually get larger and larger over the life of your business, even not totally dependent upon what you do. But anyway, this idea of duplication came into play, and I realized that very early on. I wanted to build a team. I wanted the exponential growth. I wanted the leveraged income. I wanted everything that the Brilliant Compensation presentation by Tim Sales showed me I could have. And so I thought, okay, we're going to follow Carol's advice, and we're going to make whatever I do, I want the next guy to be able to do and come in and do it. And that's what the premise of this presentation. So you need to ask this question, am I duplicating? Now, if you don't have a team, that's okay. If you're just starting off and maybe you don't want a team, maybe you don't want the network part of our business, it's up to you. But I would encourage you to have that. I look at our business as twofold. Number one, you get customers. And number two, you get customer getters, right? You're a customer getter. Everyone who's a rep in this room is a customer getter. You're going to find customers. You're going to refer them to our products. I like what Zane said. You're an influencer. You're not necessarily a salesperson. You're an influencer. And that's true. And so you get customers, but then you might want to find some other people who are just like you. I always train my team and tell them, you're not very unique. You know that? You're not very unique. Can I let you down a little bit? You're not that unique. You want money like everyone else wants money. You need extra money like they need extra money. And everybody's looking for ways to get that done. All right, so we're not unique in that respect. So am I duplicating? Is my business duplicating, and why should it? And I'll hopefully get to that idea. There are 8 rules that I've come up with that you need to follow in order to duplicate. And if you do these things, if you pattern your business after these 8 things, I guarantee you will duplicate. And when you duplicate, that means you're leveraging the income that's coming in from other people's efforts, and your team will start to grow exponentially. So the first thing is, number 1 is your team needs something simple. I think we heard that in the first session, right? We need to keep things down to, what did he say, the maximum of 7 seconds or something like that. And so we want to be very, very simple in how we go about it. That's one of the things I love about our samples. You know, we have samples of a lot of our products. I encourage my team to give out samples. Why? Because everybody can do that. Judy Lowry is in the room here today, and she's got 8 children, and one of them is with her today, and she had little guys, and so is Diane. Diane, you had little guys when I first met you, and they would go out as 5 and 6-year-olds and pass out samples and business cards. Anybody can do that, right? That's a very simple system to follow. So we need to keep it simple. And why? And this is what Dennis drilled into me all the time, Dennis Berardi. He said, because the business is new and part-time to people. And so many of you, if I had a show of hands and we went around the room, you would tell me what you really do for a living. You're not full-time Life's Abundance distributors, right? You're a carpenter, you're a plumber, you're an engineer, you're a nurse, whatever it is that you are. But you're new to this and you're part-time. Every cruise I come on, I've been on, I think, every single one. Every time I come on a cruise, I'm having lunch, breakfast, dinner with somebody who's saying, finally, I want to sit down and talk to you because I want you to explain this business to me. And, you know, they've been around for a while. And you've been around. Yeah, but I really just need to take the time. And you understand that, right? So when you bring in someone who's new, don't expect a lot out of them. The number one, I've surveyed many, many people. And the number one thing that I found in people is why they will join with you and why they will join Life's Abundance is if they feel that they are going to be getting help. If you have something I can do, if you can show me what to do, if you'll be there to help me, then I'll be able to do this because I will confidently join with you. And they don't care if you're selling lotions, potions, or super juices. They just know they want to be a part of something that makes extra money, and they want to be with a team and have that support. So you have to keep it very simple because this business is new and part-time. And when people are confused, get this now, when people are confused, they stop. So if you sit people down, and I'm going to get to what Zane said in a minute, these first 3 points I'm going to give you are kind of similar, but he talked about listening and not saying too much, right? And so if you sit down and you start to lecture people, I hope I'm not doing that to you right now, but if you sit people down and lecture people, they are going to say, okay, that's enough. You're overwhelmingly, I can't handle anymore. I don't know if I can really do this business. Let me just tell you a quick story, and this is part of my problem when I speak. I segue too often. But anyway, I would get on the phone. When I would come home from my work every single day, I was a full-time landscaper when I started this business. I had a large company. I was out working sun up to sundown. I was breaking my back. I was tired of it, and I wanted to do something different, and that was a motivation to me to do this. And so what I would do, though, is I'd get home as soon as possible, and I would get on the phone. I would close the bedroom door, and I'd tell my wife, don't bother me. I'm at my second job. All right, and what I would do is I would get a lot of customers. And I have a lot of customers. I had a lot of customers, and I was accumulating more all the time. And what I would do is I would talk to people. What I found out is I was talking to people for 30 minutes at a time. And you know the average attention span he gave you earlier? 30 minutes, and I had him at hello, right? Most of the people said, like when he was up here being, I just want the dog food, right? That's where most people were, but I had to tell them everything. Well, you don't want to do that. You overwhelm people, they'll get stopped and they'll get confused, and we'll get into that in just a second. But I found out that people were saying this. You know, I said at the end of my presentation to them, they were buying whatever I told them to buy. But I said, hey, you know what? There's a business here, and that's how I'm able to talk to you because I'm in a business and you could be in the business. And they said, you know what, John? That sounds good for you, but I could never be like you. You don't ever want to hear that. You don't want ever want anybody to say, you know what, you're just more talented than me. You speak better than me. You're funnier than me. And I always tell my team, it's not about how funny or charismatic or how good looking you are. It's about how duplicatable you are. Okay, so get that. So number 2, you don't want to be the expert. Don't try to be the expert. I always tell people when they join, look, you don't need a degree to do this business. You don't need to have a nutrition degree. You don't need to have a PhD. You don't need to become a doctor. You know, how many of you know Dr. Jane Bix? Right? And we studied under her, many of us, for many years, and we've heard everything she has to say, and I could probably repeat a lot of what she's ever told me. But you know what? That's a big mistake. You don't want to be the expert. Let her be the expert. Let the staff here at Life's Abundance be the experts behind the scene. They make the products. They do all the hard work. I have one job. You have one job as a distributor. We tell a story, right? I'm a storyteller. That's what we do. So no one likes a know-it-all. That's number 1. No one wants to be lectured. No one wants to say, oh, you just know it all. It's not duplicatable. You don't need a nutrition degree to recommend our products. And use your team. I like another thing that Zane said this morning. He said, use other people's stories. One time, many times people would join the company and I'd say, now get out there and get your business started. And they say, but I don't have a story. I'd say, well, then use mine. Take and tell people your story. Get your team to take your story and to spread your story until they have a story. And that will work, all right? And if you do nothing else but tell other people's stories, it's fine, because then you're not putting yourself up on a pedestal. You're not becoming the expert. You're just telling them, hey, you can do what I'm doing. You can tell another story, right? So don't try to be the expert. Number 3, don't talk too much. I told you these first ones are very similar. Don't talk too much. And Zane said the same thing. My big thing is, again, don't be the expert. Always look out to cut out non-essential conversation. That's what I was doing in the beginning. Oh, and by the way, did you know that we have chelated minerals? And you know what chelated minerals are? And I'd go into a whole lecture on chelated minerals. Do you know we have live probiotics? And do you know what probiotics are? And do you know what they can do and they're like, I'm sold, get me the bag, but you go on and on and on. And so you don't need it. You cut out all non-essential conversation. You listen to what they have to say, what their needs and wants are. Some people might just only want to know what the protein content of your food is, because that's the number 1 thing in their minds is, well, what's the protein? I'm looking for a food with X number of protein in it. And if you would just have asked that in the beginning, or asked them what's most important to them about what they want to buy, they might have told you that and cut out a lot of non-essential conversation, okay? And making you feel too nervous because you're trying to sell them and you don't even know what they want to hear yet. You haven't even gotten to that. So you should develop a 30-second elevator pitch. Now, I'm not going to give you mine, but you should develop one. In other words, if you know what an elevator pitch is, raise your hand if you know what that is. I think most people do. That just means that if you were stuck in an elevator with somebody like you will be 100 times this week, and you had 30 seconds to go from one floor to another, what would you say to them to get them interested, right? You ought to develop that. Have a little thing that you say to get people's interest, to get people to want to talk to you, to build up some curiosity, okay? But don't talk too much. All right, the last thing you want, the first year I was here, Diane, can I pick on you a little bit? Yeah, the first year I was here, I had never been on a boat before. Not like this. And I didn't know about seasickness. I didn't think it was going to happen. And so I'm getting seasick the very first day. And here comes Rick and Diane Sterling. And they say, and they're right over, she's right over here. And they said, oh, John Albrecht, I know you. I've been on your conference calls, and I want to talk to you. And so we were in an elevator. I don't know if you remember, but we were in an elevator, and I was up. I can't. I'll just pretend. I'm up against the wall. I'm like, I'm going to have to throw up. And I'm getting sick, and they're going on and on and on, and they want questions and answers. And I'm like, how many floors are we going to go up and down, up and down? And so anyway, I think by now she's developed a 30-second elevator pitch. Number 4, the way to cut out non-essential conversation, the way to not become an expert is to use the experts. Like I said, use third-party tools. And that's what our team has done over the years. That's what I've done over the years. I've tried to develop different things that help with that and pass it along. And of course, the company has provided all these wonderful things. You've got catalogs, you've got samples, you've got the blog, you've got websites, you've got testimonials, as was mentioned earlier, videos. recorded trainings. You got the Empowerment U app. You've got the income disclosure statement, and I could just go on and give you a list, 20 things that what I mean by third-party tools. And when you pass those things out and you put those in the hands of people, they know what to do with it. I was a little discouraged when he said people don't read anymore, earlier today, but I know they do, and I know you do too. And I think if you're researching products, you're going to read. But at the same time, you don't want to be the book that they're reading. You want to give them the catalog, give them the brochure, give them the link to the website, put that QR code on your business card, and have all those things for them to look you up. And as he said, get the follow-up information so you can follow up with them to see if they've done that. Number 5, you want to always promote money-making activities. Okay, what I'm telling you so far, have you noticed that everybody in this room can do everything I've said so far? Including this. And it's not duplicatable for you to have a separate office in your house that you've set up with a desk and a computer and everything and ledgers and all the things that you think you need to run a business. Because not everybody has that spare room in their house or that desk or that place, right? We don't want you to say, well, I ran my business today because I remodeled my office. What I like to get people to do is money-making activities. And 2 things that everybody in this room can do is first, let's go in reverse order. You can build your list. You can build a list. Now, your list is never built. You understand? Your list is never built. It's never finished. Your list, when you're on this cruise, you're going to be adding to your list because you're going to be sitting by someone at lunch or dinner or breakfast, and you're going to get to meet them and get to know them, and you're going to find out if they have a pet or whatever, and then you're going to write their name on the list and say, when this cruise is over, I'll contact you. All right, you're always prospecting. You're always building your list. You're always creating the conversation. I was just talking to Lester Thornhill in the back there, and I was saying, and I was telling some of you, it's going to be tough for me to follow these comedians because I'm no comedian. But that was really hilarious and everything. But now it's just down to brass tacks, right? But when you're meeting with people, they gave you some skills to try and listen to what people are saying and to work with that, right? To build off that. And so that helps you with the idea of building a list. And your list, one person said, one trainer that I listened to said, your list is your money. Your money is not your money. Your money will go, right? It spins. But your list is your money. So as you're building your list, if you ask probably all of the multimillionaires and the billionaires in the world, what's the one most important thing that you ought to do to get that wealth? They would say network, network, network. They all say it. And the reason why they say it is because that's their list. They're making their list, right? They're making connections. The second thing you do with that list is you pass out the samples we talked about before. You don't call that list because you're an excellent speaker or because you're so funny or because they just love you and they can't wait to hear from you again. You get samples into their hands and you let our products do the talking. Those are another third-party tool. Just like a catalog or a website or a video, the samples, I always say this, our samples are like Fortune 500 presentations. Now, if you were to take this picture of a 3.5 pound or 3.3 pound dog food bag, and if you were to give that away, you know what people say to me when I give those away? They say, "You're giving this to me? Wow." And you know what a lot of people do? I don't have my wallet, but they reach in their back pocket, they pull out their wallet while I'm talking and saying, "Here, I want you to put this down at the next feeding time and tell me how your pet likes it." They're already pulling out their money and trying to pay me. And I said, "You don't understand. I'm giving this to you. You're giving this to me?" And you know what? That looks, to them, that's a perceived value. They in their minds are saying, "Wow, I know I have to buy this normally, and I know how much this costs, and I love my dog." And I think it was Zane again. I'm going to reference him quite often, I think. Zane said this morning about people who that's how they feel about the experience, right? And so when you give out the samples, not only do they do the talking, not only do they make you look like a Fortune 500 company and give a great presentation, but they will sell themselves. The product sells itself. That's what we teach our team to do. Take the food and put it down at the normal feeding time next to your regular food and see which one your pet prefers. Why? Because pets don't lie like I lie, right? I might tell you that's the greatest food that ever hit planet Earth. And you might say, "Oh, right, you're biased. You work for the company. How much do you make when you sell a bag?" It's not like that. I give it away and I say, your pet doesn't lie. Your pet will either eat it or it won't. Your pet will either do better on it or it won't. Your pet will either stop laying around looking like a stuffed animal, or it'll run around the house again, right? And so that's the truth. So we always promote money-making activities. So if you're not doing money-making activities, guess what your team is doing? They're not doing money-making activities either, because you're not doing it. Number 6, stay connected to life's abundance. Stay connected to the company. You know, I try to stay connected. I think it was Ann McGever. I don't know if many of you know who she is, but one time she made a statement, and I got a little offended by it, and I thought, but then after she said it, I thought, you know what? She's absolutely right. She said, John, this is your business. What do you mean you didn't read the email? And I says, well, yeah, okay, but sometimes email doesn't make it through, and I was trying to squeeze out of that one, but afterwards I thought, yeah, that's right, that's what I would have said. It's your business. You're supposed to stay connected to the company. Now, if your email doesn't come through, call them up and give them a different email. Okay, not all emails are equal, by the way. Some of them have better or more blocking filters than others. And you might want to get one that is more accommodating to receive the email instead of calling the upline and saying, well, I never get the emails. Well, fix that. Okay, I'm just giving you some friendly advice. You're in business. Stay connected to the company. Well, Lester and I have had a few conversations about this, and the staff has had conversations, and they've come up with this brilliant idea called Empowerment U. Now, how many of you, raise your hand, please, and tell me you have Empowerment U on your phone? It's already on your phone. Now, I'm going to do the opposite. I want you to raise your hand if you do not have that on your phone. Okay, your job before this cruise is over is to get it on your phone. You're at the convention. There is no reason for you not to get the app put on your phone and to be connected to the company. Everything they have to say, everything they have to do is going to be in that app. Company events, announcements, product changes, whatever. It's going to be, if your email doesn't come through, this is guaranteed to come through, and it'll even send you a notification. Number 7, stay connected to not just the company, but your team. All right, that's vitally important. Our team realizes that. I realized that a long time ago. I got going. I was probably a year or so into the business, and I had a goal. I met a woman named Judy Bishop. She's not here with us this year, but Judy Bishop was one of the first 9 stars, I believe, in the company. I don't know if she was the first. I met her at one of the very first conventions in Stuart, Florida, at the Marriott Hotel. And she got up and she was speaking, and she was a dog groomer from New York, and she was a 9-star. And I said, you know what? And nothing personal in this statement at all, but I said, if Judy can do that, she looks like an average person. And I said, if Judy can do that, I can do that. And so I left that convention being inspired by Judy Bishop. Just the idea that she was a 9-star, and you know what? I'm competitive. And I said, I want to be, if she can do it, I can do it. So I went home, and within a year and a half, I did that. I became a 9-star. One of those things along the way that I decided I needed to do was one of these things called a conference call. I had been on conference calls from other network marketing companies, and I had heard, what they say and the things that they do. And I thought, well, how do you even do a conference call? Number one, how do you get there was no technology, understand? 20 years ago, there was no Facebook, there was no smartphones. There was just regular old-fashioned landlines and all that. But I started that. And what I realized at that moment was I need to build a sense of community. And let me just tell you, you're your own captain of your own team. And when you have people that join under you, don't just say, well, I wish they would do something. I wish they would build my fortune for me. I wish, boy, they got so much potential. Wish they would go out. You need to foster that. All right. You need to be checking in with them. You may not have a conference call. You may not do Zooms. You may just jump into a one above you, whatever your upline has. And that's great. But stay connected to the company. Stay connected to your team. Okay. It's vitally important. That's what this is all about, by the way. Hopefully, if this is your first cruise, by the end of this cruise, you're going to say, boy, I met so many wonderful people. Boy, those people are average, everyday people. Boy, if they can do it, I can do it. And you know what? We in my team, we call each other family because we feel that way about one another. You will make new friendships, new relationships, even with the staff here at the company. You will realize, and that's one of the great things about doing this, you will realize that they're real people, everyday people too, and they want the same things you want. All right, and that's vitally important. So, number 8, and the last one before I close out, Number 8 is be a product of the product. That is duplicatable. All right. Use the products of the company. I would feel it would be hypocritical to own a dog and to feed Purina One when I have Life's Abundance, right? Or to drink some other company's protein shake, or to drink Gatorades and not our mineral and antioxidant drink. All right. And anything that our company offers, do you bathe with our soap and shampoo? I do. Anything our company offers ought to be in your cabinet or in your bathroom or wherever it should be, because you need to be a product of the product. And obviously, you know the product line. I'm not going to go into any of that. But you know, one of the other benefits of that, we're a network marketing company. And you know, if you just were to tell the person that joined under you that, hey, you might want to switch your protein shake over to ours. You might want to switch your greens blend over to ours. You might want to know about this product and that product. Hey, do you take fish oil? A lot of people do. You might want to know about ours. And you might want to know about this treat and that treat for your pet. And you know what will happen is they'll be your best customer. They're a rep. They're using and experiencing the products. That's why we have the executive kit, so they can do that. But then also, not only that, they are becoming your customer too. And so if everybody on the team was consuming products and being products of the product, then guess what? You'd actually get a paycheck. Now that's the definition of an illegal pyramid scheme, am I right? Where everybody's just buying products to get a check. That's not what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying, right? Be a product of the product. If you're a product of the product, then your team will realize, you know, I ought to be a product of the product too. All right. And lastly, just to wrap it up, all activity that you do, all of these 8 things, is to teach the business. Now, I love this picture. I found this picture online. It's perfect. And this is a traffic conductor. She looks like she's having fun, right? Does she look like she hates her job? No, she looks like she's having fun. And you know, we're as reps for this company, I have fun. I have fun doing this. I like talking to people about their pets or about their own health or about our products. I have fun doing it. And I think when I talk to people, they feel that. They connect with that, right? And so it's about the experience, again, from this morning. And so I always say, look at this woman here with the face. She's smiling as she's watching her do her job. You know what? And then there's this little boy back here, and he's walking past. Of course, if he stops and looks, I guarantee you that the little boy could come out and do her job. Don't you think? If you watched her for 5 minutes, he could get out there and probably do it better because he's a little boy, right? And then not only that, but the lady there, she doesn't look that old, but I mean, she's older than the boy. She gets out there, she could probably do her job. Now, do you understand the reason for the picture? The picture is that anybody watching you should be able to say, I can do what they do. I can pass out a sample. You mean just give out a catalog? You mean just pass a business card out? You mean just say this 30-second little elevator pitch, these 2 sentences? I can do that. But a 30-minute lecture on pet food nutrition, not everybody can do that. Nobody even wants to do that. All right? So you don't have to. So always pointing people, see yourself as a traffic conductor, always pointing people to a simple activity to make money. The number 1 secret of success in Life's Abundance is there are no secrets. Oh, I can tell you all through the years what people have said to me. Oh, I just wish I knew what he knew. I make a pretty decent check here, and people would say, boy, if I knew his secret, I could make that same amount of money. And I always tell people, let me tell you, have you been on my conference calls? Have you been on any of my trainings? I give away all my secrets for free. There are no secrets. Oh, no, there's something you're not telling me. I know it. And that's what happens in the corporate world. See, that's where people's minds are. Oh, there's some secret, and they don't want to let anybody know because it'll jeopardize it. No, I want you to be more successful than me. If you make $1 million, guess what? I get a small piece of that. All right? So it's okay if you're more successful. I want you to be successful. What I'm telling you right here is stuff that I want you to take home and use it and do it and duplicate, because there are no secrets. And your prospect should be thinking, whoever you're thinking of right now that you wish was in your business, they should be thinking, well, I can do it. If John can do it, I can do it. You mean that's all you do? So that's how you attract people. They want to know that they can do it too. They don't want to have to go to school for it. They don't want to have to get a degree to do it. They don't want to get complicated, all right? And then lastly, there's this thing called 6 degrees of separation. And I stole this online, so I wouldn't put Bill Gates here. I would put the President of the United States. All right. Who thinks the president of the United States is untouchable, right? As in terms of how could I ever know them? But there's this concept, and it was taken from a college study, and it's called 6 degrees of separation. And since that study, they've actually determined now it's 4 degrees of separation, meaning you're only 4 people, or in this case, 6 people away from knowing everyone on the planet. Now, I can prove this to you. I'm a tennis player, and I played tennis for many, many, many years. And over those course of years, you meet people as you do that. And I have found out that some of the people that I watch on TV that are in the U.S. Open and are at the Wimbledon and the French Open and all these tournaments that I would like to shake hands with and meet, that I found out that I'm 1 person away from knowing that person. At the most, in the tennis world, I'm 2 people away from knowing people like Serena Williams. Actually, I'm 1 person away from her. And do you know who Serena Williams is? Number 1 women's player in the world. It's from the U.S. And Roger Federer. And some of the young, I won't start naming players, but I'm no more than 3 people away from knowing just about anybody I've just mentioned or anybody else, because you get networked, right? And if you just ask, who do you know? Oh, you know them? Oh, yeah, and they know that. And one of the commentators that I watch on TV who commentates almost every tennis match, I just played tennis with his best friend the other day. And he said, you know what happens, John, when he's commentating? I'm sitting here texting him during this commentating and say, why didn't you say that? Why did you say this? And I'm like, you know them? And so, hey, do they have a pet? Do they have a dog? Right? Do they take Gatorade or do they like our mineral antioxidant drink instead? Right? And so what I'm telling you is, look, I'm done. This is my last slide. What I'm telling you is you follow a duplicatable pattern, and then you put that to work, and you'll find out that you are more connected than you think you are. The average person knows more than 2,000 people by their first name. You probably didn't think you did, but you do if you started cataloging. All right, so I'm done. I appreciate your time. I hope this was helpful to you, and I want everybody to enjoy their cruise, and I hope I get to meet you one-on-one at some point. All right.